I'm Nona Harrison Gomez, and this is the Love, Health, Truth Project. Hi.
Hey.
Hi, Shaun. So, I would like you to introduce yourself, please.
My name is Shaun Earl. I'm an artist, actor, singer, dancer.
And what's your background?
Born and raised here. Portuguese and black. But I don't know my Portuguese side, and I only know how to say obrigado.
That's close enough for me. And what have you done? What are your past projects that you've done?
In entertainment, I've been able to do a wide span of things because I do act, but I sing and I also dance. But one of my biggest breaks back in the roaring 20s was the show called Fame on TV.
I love Fame. That's
and that
an
was
amazing
kind of
show.
like a good way. I felt like I was personally experiencing the high school performing arts because it's about the high school performing arts, but I had no idea what I was doing. I just naturally knew how to dance and sing and act.
Okay.
So learning every day what I got myself into, I was also learning on the set at the same time. But they thought I still knew what I was doing, but it was just kind of a blessing to be exposed to all that.
Was
at
that
the
your
same
first
time. Like big
Yeah.
job, yeah. And then it was like out of high school, so I got to kind of play close to the age that we're supposed to be anyway.
Yeah.
But that kind of started things off for me.
Did you do Rent as well?
Yeah, that's the more recent, yeah. And I got to, there was no dancing or anything like that. That was more, I got to star in the show and played the role of Angel.
Nice.
It was an acting, it's a rock opera, so lots of singing, 8 shows a week.
Wow.
So that was pretty taxing because I did it for like over 10 years.
10 years on stage.
From 97 until 2010
Wow.
with a 2-year break in between. So that was a whole nother arena, but it was
Before
rewarding.
we get into that, I totally forgot. What are we drinking today? This is your drink that you brought me. I'm so excited.
I made an acai blueberry banana smoothie.
Cheers.
It's
What
good,
else
right?
is in here? Oh my
It's
god.
banana, blueberry,
That's it? And
and
acai?
acai. And then with the apple juice kind of liquid base to blend it with.
Do you do this like daily? Is that your daily ritual?
I only do this usually on Mondays and Wednesdays because I don't want to be full before I take my class,
Okay.
dance class, so it's become my ritual. But when I go to Japan to teach, I kind of smuggle it overseas and try to make it for those 9 classes a week. Because it
Nice.
has like a little healthy energy boost to it because I don't drink coffee or anything like that. So
Okay. So
But
my
it's tasty.
question to you is,
Yeah.
what does love mean to you?
love to me, it's such a complex thing because there's so many levels of it. On a generic kind of base, like it's kind of cliche to say God is love or love conquers all. And you hear that early on. But to then live your life and find out that it really is true, it's become maybe a staple for me,
Okay.
especially on a level of love winning. Because in life, luckily, on a logical sense, I've moved around a lot. I've been in lots of different companies and different groups of people. And so dealing with people, no matter how good the job is, people are always the challenge. And seeing all the different types of personalities and seeing how there's room for misunderstanding, all the conflicts and everything. Most people seem to take on other people's baggage or they take things personally. And on a logical sense, when I'm like, I've never met you, even if it's a waitress that's kind of not happy or mean, I'm not thinking I did anything. So I've always been able to be compassionate, which I think love is. I think love is patient. I think love is kind. But all that being said, when people think love on a level of I'm attracted to you and we have the little
Right.
bubbly thing, that's all easy
Right.
because we don't know each other and we're getting to know each other and we say all the right things. But then month 6, when the mask comes off,
Right, the truth.
then
The
it's
real
like,
truth.
do I decide to be patient when I find out
That's when the real
the
love
truth?
starts,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
When the baby comes out the mom's womb in the beginning, it's like, whoop, 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 whoop.
Everything just
But
looks
then
beautiful.
when she's 3,
Right.
then you're like, get off the table. Like there's, that's when the patience and everything comes in. You know what I mean? So I don't have kids or anything like that, but I've had many relationships with people and I've seen lots of things and I've always, because I'm naturally, thank God, patient, and I'm able to observe, and I don't really meet people with expectations. I love to go with the flow and see how things develop. I like the surprises. So with that, there are definitely surprises, and thank God I don't give in passionately based on someone's looks.
You
I
said you
take
love
time.
the development.
Yes, the
So
flow.
what about that?
Yeah, I love seeing, because a lot of people can introduce themselves and they think they are what they say they are as well.
Okay.
So it's kind of fun to see, well, let's see if they'll deliver. Are they who they think they are?
Got it.
Because when people, especially if it's romantically, it's almost like when you're at a used car lot and they're trying to sell you that car because it's shiny and
Right.
it's convertible, but they don't tell you about the engine. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we
You haven't
kind of,
actually
yeah.
pop the hood yet.
Yeah, exactly.
I got
So
you.
we are very visual, especially in California. So everybody's getting that paint job. They'll get out their relationship and get a new paint job. And they're just toe up on
This
the
is
inside.
a great way of putting it.
You know what I mean?
I love
So
it.
I'm like, so everybody's going to say the right things. Like, yes, my tires are fixed. I got a new muffler. My new brakes are working, you know.
Right.
So you can be like, okay, so I just want to see if they work. So if I'm patient with you in life and see how you flow, when it's time to put the brakes on or do whatever, be the communicator, be all the things that you say you are, that's what I find out that you are or that you're not.
get
If
it.
they're not, I'm not gambling on that because I want to see words put into action.
How do you express love in your life?
Express love is more of an action. I show it by being present. I show it by showing interest in a human being. I show it by giving what I'm able to give in the position that I'm in.
Okay.
It's not just a word to me, you know. And then showing through patience, showing through meeting people where they're at,
Right.
not pressuring them to be anything more than they are.
So with
Letting
dance,
them grow. Yeah.
I love that you're a dancer, by the way. It's one of my favorite things about you.
Oh, thanks.
Well, that you have such the ability to love and live out loud. Like dance to me is you're using every ounce of your body,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So when I think about like how do you balance that like in life, you know, like or when did you find that love? Like when did you find that love with dance?
Well, once I became, I guess, more known as a dancer, and then you go back to family, they would always say it was really unusual because when I was a toddler, I made sense of my movement when I danced.
Okay.
So it wasn't like I was just like, there was like a movement and a flow that I was unaware of because when you're a dancer, it's like a spirit. It's like something you are. It's not something that you think about. So it was just always a part of me without even thinking that there was talent involved. That's just what I did.
So you did it naturally.
Naturally. And then I watched my Soul Train every Saturday. Got my moves on, you know.
Right.
But American Bandstand or whatever. But I knew that was something that I always did. And being an only child, amusing myself, and being with a single parent, there are times when my mother was like, baby, sit down. Sit down, just listen to the words. Because she loved Earth, Wind, and Fire. So I'll be like, listen to the words at 7.
And not
You know,
actually
trying
move.
to,
That's like
you know,
torture.
like, no, like I did it, and then I'm like back, you know. So like that was just something that was natural. When I found out professionally that you can do it, because stereotypically, especially in the black community, you only see ballet as an extreme. You didn't know of it as a career.
Right.
When I watched maybe variety shows, they were so pedestrianized that it wasn't like dance break. It wasn't like anything, you know. So I didn't think of it as a goal.
Okay.
Not until the movie Fame came out, Leroy gave dudes permission to dance because it wasn't considered, frou-frou or frilly. And plus, he didn't wear no tights either. So you saw the conflict of that, but there was just this sense of, you know, dance that you saw it in a format where there was a school and all that. So I was like, oh my God, I wish I was in a school like that because I didn't have that background growing up. And I did more, if it was visual, more singing. I did the choir. I sang my solos. I was in school. If you're acting, you're in a play. That was more tangible. But there wasn't an escape for me to dance until the movie came out. And then even in the movie, I was conflicted because I was like, well, which one would I choose? Because I had to choose one major, you know what I mean? So I didn't know
Within the arts.
within the arts, you know, when you're at that school.
But you love all of them.
But I loved all of them, so
Yeah.
that kind of confused because I've never been in a school format or a setting at that
Do you
time.
feel like you have to choose now?
No. I just thought for that particular, like if I went to that school, would I
Right.
choose? What,
Right.
And I thought acting, I can act as a dancer, I can act as a singer, I can act, you know, so I
Right.
thought acting would be like the center.
But the older you get, you
But
realize there is no choice. It's
There's
the
no
love of
choice
it.
because if I dance for Paula, I'll do dance for Paula. If I do a session with Karen White and I'm singing background for Superwoman, you know, I do that. And then if I had an acting gig, they're all separate. And then some jobs, when I got to do Rent, I got to do all three.
Nice.
So I didn't have to choose anything, but yeah.
I love that.
Dancing, yeah.
So health. What does health mean to you?
Health to me means beyond, of course, eating and exercising and
Yeah.
all that. I think having peace helps beyond because it's internal.
Yeah.
And you're not as acidic. You keep those alkaline levels low. And I mean, stress and all that stuff is a killer. It's
Yeah.
a silent killer. We can do all that stuff and cut out this and gluten and blah, 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 blah. But I know that if you're not living in forgiveness and you're living stressful and you don't have a release like a massage or a hike or whatever to get rid of all that, it's cancer.
Would you say that's a way of practicing health daily?
Yes,
Almost.
I think internally, beyond,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because people, I know people that smoke and they're 100 years old and they're like, it hasn't affected me one bit, you know what I mean? And then you have someone with
Totally
lung
true.
cancer
Right.
and they're like 25 and you don't know why they had it and they don't smoke. So,
You know, it's so funny you say that because it is how we decide how to carry it on. I always say like the balance of it, right?
Yes.
How to find the health balance without being like superheroes because we're
Right.
not, right? But I love that you said that that you have to watch the stress because stress is key.
it is.
Does dance help you release that?
That's the therapy for me. I take twice a week. I'm not doing it as professionally as I did before, pursuing it heavily, but I find that my body needs still to do that. It's a good release. So it's the whole warm up session and the whole across the floor, and
Is
but
there
it's
a
definitely
ritual
a
that
release.
you have?
I don't, in the sense that luckily I've always had good habits naturally, because I'm a saver. I don't know if it was because my mother was like, "You're not gonna hear yes all the time," so today's
mean a
the
saver?
candy. I savor the moment. Like I like to eat slow. I didn't know that was because it's healthy.
Right.
I don't want it to end because
Right.
most of the time I'm eating, it's because I want to eat. The atmosphere has to be great. Even if it's a bowl of cereal and some toast, I'm gonna like have it set up where I can just sit
That's a ritual.
and enjoy it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So like I don't have like I wake up with coffee and toast in the morning or egg whites, whatever, because I like a variety of things because my palate's kind of experienced with the travel and everything.
Okay.
But I do, on top of the fact that I'll eat some dessert and all that, but I just really love good food. My body craves green. So whatever I'm doing, where's that salad, I need something, but it's not because I thought I'm being healthy. That's just how my, probably, you know, I guess when there's muscle memory, then there's probably memory for your taste buds. And my mother definitely had a well-rounded diet for me when I was growing up.
Yeah.
But I wasn't the kid that was at the table where she's making me eat the vegetables last because my body just naturally craves it. You know what I mean? But
So you
I'm
kind of,
mindful.
so as a young child, a ritual was kind of just placed there,
Yes.
and it just became part of
part of
who you
yes,
are.
because even when it's like
Which is
dessert,
a
I can't wake up
beautiful
with
thing.
cake. I have
Can't
to
wake up with cake.
eat cake. I have to eat it for dessert.
Right.
You know, some people like
You're
"You
not
have a whole
craving like
cake."
donuts or something.
Like
right.
I have to have the salt before the sweets.
I'm so not that person.
And you would think I'm gonna get in trouble, like
Right.
my mom's not here. You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, I can't have it yet. You know, I'm like kind of disciplined that way. I'm like a parent. To
Have you ever
myself.
had a challenge with your body or health? You know, aging or getting older. Does it ever feel different to you?
It hasn't. It really hasn't. Thank
Nice.
God. I know genetically it seems. I mean, physically it looks like I wake up, I go run on the beach, and then I do my yoga. You know, like I know genetically I'm blessed because
Right.
there's really no obesity in my family or whatever. But because I've been blessed to have a career that keeps me healthy, like even when I was dancing full time, I didn't go to the gym. So because I'm working, I'm not thinking that I'm taking care of my body
Right.
because I'm dancing 8 hours a day, but I didn't go to the gym. So I'm not thinking that I'm taking care of myself specifically because I do not go to the gym.
Right.
But on a cardio level, we dance, and that's just good for your heart. So those are natural things that you do.
Would you say movement is kind of like the secret of maybe the fountain of
It
youth?
is.
Yeah.
If you hear it on every level, whether people are working in the office or whatever, they say move.
Right.
Whether it's walking or whatever, keep the heart rate going. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And so,
It is a good reminder. I think it's one of those things when you stop moving and and then you start to move again, how amazing your body
Yes.
feels, right? No,
And then it
I
craves
agree.
it.
And then it's like you have to do more and more of it.
you kind of get sick when you don't. But it's almost like
totally
people,
get
right?
sick,
It's
yeah.
people that don't drink water.
Yeah.
And then you have to introduce them to water because they're drinking Diet Cokes all the time
Right.
or whatever. Then finally,
thing
when
with
they
movement.
introduce the water, their body starts craving the water. And they're like, why did I do it before?
Right.
So movement is exactly the same.
What is truth to you?
Truth, in like my truth? Or
Yeah. What does truth mean to you in your
Truth.
life?
Well, I mean, another cliche thing to thy own self be true, you know, because a lot of people try to figure you out and they think you're not being true because they don't know you. As long as you leave the house and you know who you are, you look in the mirror and you know who you are, that's still giving you peace. It's not everybody's business who you are, especially if they're nosy and they don't really care. You know what I mean?
Right. They're not really looking at
They're
you.
not reading your book. Yeah. They just want to put you in a
facade
box.
they want to look
put you
at,
in a box
which
and
is
label.
not truthful at all.
Exactly.
No, I agree.
Yeah. And when you are a human being, it's wonderful because if you dare not keep yourself in a box, you live and you explore. You try different foods. You have different relationships with different people, and you learn more things about yourself.
So is a way of your truth growing?
It's always growing.
Oh,
Like when people always try to define me, I'm like, when I die, put that label on the box then. Because I find out new things about myself all the time. People bring out different things in me. And I'm like, I didn't know.
That.
You know, and thank God because I love food. But there's some food that I really love now. Had I given up on it when someone else cooked it,
Right.
I wouldn't have that experience
How is that?
to go on. Like black eyed peas, for instance.
Okay.
My aunt couldn't cook. So it was just like right out of the can, like, eat your food, you know, we're like, ah, you know what I mean? So then you like, I don't like black eyed peas, that's the list. But then you like, your Aunt Betty's like, oh, you haven't tasted mine.
Right.
You know, so you keep trying people's. I was luckily a person that loved to keep trying. Had I not,
Just
I would
giving
not
yourself
have
that
negative,
one
whether it's
idea.
people, whether it's whatever, because I could
Wow,
be
that's
shut
beautiful.
down and be like, I don't like those. I don't like, and I would be missing out on some good, because there's some people that can really cook them, you know.
Yeah.
And there's other things in life I kind of relate to.
Brussels
that same
sprouts
way.
are like that too.
Yes.
I agree.
They just boiled them back in the day.
Yeah, now they're,
And now they're
amazing.
like crispy on the outside. You know, like, oh, no, what? You know, and you're like, and it's healthy too. Yeah, so you know what I mean?
know.
So it's fun. I kind of parallel that with life in general, opportunities and people. The more you explore and experience, the more full your life is, and the more you earn different layers to yourself.
Okay. So with dance, when you found like what made you happy or performing, you know, and you found your truth in it, how did you able to stay true to who you are, either playing with someone else's character or, you know, or a role, or even being in someone else's production? How did you find that you were still able to stay true to yourself within that?
Well, I've been blessed to be able to choose my job, so it was great to not be under the stress of I gotta pay my bills and pay that rent and do something that I hate.
Okay.
So that's been such a blessing. There's been harder jobs than others, but I've always, even if it was a cheaper job, to go on tour with Shanice when she just had I Love Your Smile versus something bigger or whatever. I was in a position financially to travel around the world with her with the lower budget versus doing something that cost a lot more, paid a lot more, where it was more taxing on my body.
Okay.
You know, so within that truth, because it's still a business, even though we do what we do, there's lots of artists that are like, feeling like there's people that are sellouts, and there's people that do this and do that, you know, and it's not true to their art. There's people, when I did Rent, for instance, they weren't playing lead roles, they were doing ensembles, so they felt slighted. They wanted something bigger. Nevertheless, they were still in New York auditioning for bigger parts, and they weren't getting them. So they felt as an artist, they weren't fulfilled. You still need to pay that rent, keep that
Right.
insurance, you know what I mean? So there's a balance of knowing the logic behind it. Because we get crushes on our jobs, and we get these dream gigs, but they only last a month or a year. And most people are working 30 years tops, you know, getting their benefits and their health and their insurance and getting all that stuff. So we have to know that in spite of the fact that we're artists and we love what we do,
Right.
we still have to work.
Be
So
responsible.
you go home and paint if you want to feel like an artist, and then go
Correct.
back to that job at night and do those 8 shows a week. You have to kind of know that.
So then,
you know?
how do you? That's the thing, though. It's like balancing until you get to a level that you're paying your rent or your
Yeah.
life is succeeding, and you don't necessarily have to think about it.
Yeah.
How do you keep the truth of like not losing the heart and soul of it? You know what I
Because
mean?
there's people that do have regular
Yeah,
jobs and
yeah.
they don't have that break or that gig.
But
that's
you're also
why.
you're physical. I mean, yeah. No
That's
matter
what-
what, everybody has that role. But that's why someone like in your position, when you're physically using, you are your tool. You know.
Yes, exactly.
How is it that you don't lose that?
It's the discipline. It's discipline, and because you're your own commodity, it takes a lot of discipline because you have to set your own fire within yourself
Right.
to keep it going, keep it fueled.
I like
so
it.
if you have the distraction of having to work that temp job or you're in the office or whatever, it's up to you, because if you still want that big break, like I wasn't singing at all on a lot of gigs. When I was doing Reba McEntire and I was doing all these other things, I was only dancing. I had to make sure I kept my chops up and sing. Because right after that, that's when Rent came. And that was an 8-show-a-week thing. I don't know if I can sing 8 shows a week. You're not even trained for that usually. You find out when it happens.
Right.
If you could.
Right.
But thank God I was doing session work still. I was still singing on the bus. Keep Brownstone, whatever was on, I was singing their songs and keeping that going. So you have to be ready when it happens.
So the truth of the matter is how you decide to be disciplined and how you decide to create what you'll be ready for, right?
Exactly.
It's almost like you're always looking forward no matter what.
No matter what.
So that you're not selling for what you see at this moment.
Yes.
That's really
You have to
amazing.
believe in what your expectations are for your future and be in shape for it.
Yes.
Because when the opportunity happens, you have to be ready when it happens. You can't say, well, I've been singing all this time, even though it's a job.
Right.
And I can't dance anymore or whatever, vice versa. It's up to you to keep yourself in class, keep yourself informed. Whatever you need to do, whatever your craft is, you have to still, if something pulls you away, keep yourself in shape,
Okay.
somewhat, because this is all we have. And it's also shallow, so you have to keep in shape if that's your look,
Right.
and you have to grin and bear it if you have to do the gym, whatever it is.
But you don't do anything shallow, though. Everything you do is from the heart. So that's your truth, though. wouldn't
Yeah,
you
but I'm
think?
saying the industry can be shallow because no matter how authentic you want to be,
Right.
when they're casting Timothy and he has to look that way and has to have a 6-pack, whatever that is, whatever your lane is, you have to keep that lane going, you know what I mean? Or if it evolves and it changes, how you're cast is based on this physical, shallow world of Hollywood. And not everyone has a 6-pack. Sometimes you can be the chunky best friend, you can be the whatever, but people have a lane, people have a way where they're working all the time, whether it's the Guido type or the whatever, people know what their calling is or what their type is.
Yeah.
So you have to keep that, because you can't, as authentic and true and genuine and all that you can be. We're not in an industry that's that deep.
True. But for someone who is always practicing to be deep, right? I mean, not even to be, to live in a deep way. What is your truth with that?
Well, you know the game. I love what I do, but I've never become Hollywood.
Okay.
I
That's
do
beautiful.
my job, and then I choose my friends accordingly. I still keep my heaven on earth, and then I go home. Like, your validation and your whole self-worth doesn't have to be your job. It doesn't have to be your sexuality. It doesn't have to be any of those things. You are who you are,
No matter what.
no matter what. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that.
And with or without the job, I can still sing.
Right.
Whatever.
It's
Yeah.
still for you.
Right.